So you want to start the thing? You know, the lesson thing?
Yeah.
All right, yeah, let's start it up. So, I guess I don't need names this time. So, we'll just start at the beginning,
Yeah.
which it says that the first part is for people under 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're under 1,000, it'll be pretty, useful.
Yeah, I still want to see it.
Yeah,
Just to make sure
definitely.
to fill in any gaps.
Probably it'll all be too easy for you,
That's fine.
but yeah, that's all right.
Because
It'll probably be too easy for me.
So guys, so what we're gonna do is
go through this book.
Yeah, it's a pretty well-known in-game book with
By Silman.
By Silman and people. What's his first name?
Jeremy.
Jeremy, that's right. And the book is pretty well thought of by everybody. So it's going to be like a little continuing series. We're not going to do it every stream, but probably do it maybe 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah, we'll just like intersperse it,
and we want to just do the whole book. And so it's kind of like an online study group. So I know that most or a lot of people, this part's going to be easy, but I just think it makes sense if it's a whole course just to start at the beginning, and then at some point we'll get to some stuff you don't know. So what do you mean, how's the mood? Pretty good. How's your mood, Avalon?
All right. Good so far.
All right, so here we go. Lecture 1.
So I'll just read it, I guess.
If you think you need to, or summarize it.
All right, so he's talking about you played a good game so far, and you didn't mate him in the middle game, but you picked up some material, and now you're winning in the end game.
Mm-hmm.
And you just have a ton of material, ton of extra material.
Mm-hmm.
To win in the end game, like he calls it overkill because you've got so much material.
Right.
To win an overkill end game, you need to know only 2 techniques: staircase and the box. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So you can climb on. It's easy to remember. You can climb on both of those things.
Yeah, and actually, I do want to hear about this box.
All right.
Be reminded.
Just don't put me in a box. So if you're up a queen or a rook or more, and your opponent doesn't resign, what might he want, continue playing for?
Hang on one second. Do you need something? I'm gonna go down there. Oh, okay. Get me a soda with a straw. Thank you, sweetie.
So there are many ways to force a quick mate. The simple device recommended here, the staircase, makes all endgames where you're up by 2 major pieces, like queen and a queen, or a queen and a rook, or a rook and a rook, a no-brainer to win. So the first thing you have to understand is to push the enemy king, to one of the 4 sides of the board. Mm-hmm. Like here. See, he's on the side of the board, and we're not. We're in the center.
Right. Yay, so we don't have to push him anywhere.
All right. Although, yeah, this, as Nero said, this position is technically a draw.
Right.
Although, I don't know. I think white's a little better.
Random Move says, this endgame was played in one of Ben's camps.
Right. Yes.
It's true that in these scholastic tournaments, a lot of times you'll just see players, they each just have a king, and they just chase each other around.
It's also important to note that in this position, the king is also on the side of the board. Mm-hmm. That's a side. It's a square, the chessboard.
That's right.
If you're taking notes, write that down.
4 sides.
Yes, and they're all the same length. So any of these sides will do. And one thing that lower-rated players, when they're learning about mating, when an overkill endgame, like how he says, is they always try to push the king to this side of the board. They're always trying to force the king back.
They don't think about
you're just wasting a lot of time.
The A and the H.
Right. Yeah, you can make it, if the king is here on B2 or something, right? Mm-hmm. You don't need to make him march all the way back down there. You can just force him to one of these 2 if you're up a queen or a rook.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're going to be wasting a lot of time if you always force your opponent's king in the back row, so don't do that. Yes. Mm-hmm. All right, so now let's look at a position with some mating material. Here. There. And here. So use one of your heavy major pieces, rook or queen, to cut the king off. from a file or rank.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is exactly what white's doing here with this rook, right?
Mm-hmm.
The rook is, he uses dotted line here, so I'll do it like this. The rook is cutting the king off, and so you can just take your sweet time at this point. You know, you're not in a big hurry. The king's trapped here. He's only one square away from the back row, so that's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and in diagram 3, that's this diagram. The rook traps the king in the last 2 ranks. The line from the rook to the queen side represents an imaginary force field. Dang. So then we'll use our other major piece to check the king.
Right, queen f7.
Good idea.
Rook g8.
Right.
So is that called the ladder mate, or is there
Well, he
some
called
other
it the
name?
staircase.
Oh yeah, I've heard it called the staircase too. Is that the same as the ladder? What's it doing that?
It's because I had it on white's turn when I was using check.
Oh, I thought it said I thought it was a different error message.
Yeah. So white just plays queen f7 check, and the king has to go back because of the rook's force field.
The force field. Ooh,
Yes.
I like that.
Goes back, and then mate town.
You started listening, yee yeet, or yee yeet yeet,
Queen f7, rook g8. You got it.
or is it yeah yeet yeet?
Oh right, it looks like yeah yeet yeet.
Yeah.
Yeah yeet yeet.
Well, good. We're just gonna, I know this might be boring for some higher rated people, but maybe you have some gaps too. So just stick with us. We'll get to some more challenging material in a couple more lectures.
All right, this is the easiest thing in the whole book because it's the beginning of the book.
Yeah, we're gonna just go through the whole book. Not today, but
Right. I was wondering if that would work if I just tried to throw the rook off the board.
oh yeah.
All right, so a king and 2 queens versus a lone king.
Mm-hmm.
The white king's like, pimpin' ain't easy. White uses his 2 queens to push the king to one of the board's edges. Once there, it'll be mate town, I assume is what he said. I sort of lost my place. Queen b5 check. Oh,
Oh yeah.
because it has to be white's turn.
Oh, okay.
Queen b5 check. King e6. If king e4, queen a4 check, which is not the fastest mate, by the way, but, we're doing the staircase mate. Is that what he called it?
Yeah. Yeah, those are the easiest. Just
Yeah, and then the staircase
pattern.
is backwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a backwards staircase. It's like MC Escher up in here, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I am wearing the New Zealand map. It's
yeah.
not only New Zealand, but it does have New Zealand on it. I'm also wearing another pin, another gym badge. But I've already shown this one off. It's the ghost gym badge.
Yeah, Spencer's a fashion icon.
Yes, and a Pokemon master. And a chess master. But mostly Pokemon. So, king e6. So yeah, now the 5th rank is the force field, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, so here comes the other guy, I guess. Just guessing. King e7. I think you can all see where this is going by now.
Mm-hmm.
So remember, 2 ways you can botch this endgame are to give your queens away, okay, or to allow stalemate. If you avoid those things, you'll win every time. That's true. It's impossible not to win if you avoid those. Like, even if you randomly move your queen, you have 2 queens, you'll eventually mate. By the laws of mathematics.
Well,
As long as you don't hang the queens
or take more than 50 moves.
But there's just no way that it would take 50 moves. Of random moves. I would love to see a random move generator.
If somebody doesn't, know how to do it.
Right, because it should take you between 3 and 5 moves.
Yeah.
So if you know a pattern like this, the staircase, then it's pretty easy to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Hey, Warnacki.
Go Wesley.
Oh, there's G and Benjamin Funkel. Wesley beat Magnus.
Yeah, he always likes to say when Magnus loses.
Oh, it's Hey, did you get me? Were you able to get the nightstand? Gary has 2 out of 5.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
So, queen and rook against the lone king. This calls for the same rank by rank or file by file staircase technique as with the two queens example. Remember, watch out for your rook. Unlike the two queens, the black king can approach the rook and threaten to take it. Yeah, I've seen this all the time.
It does happen a lot. Like, it's pretty obvious, but it does, especially in blitz.
The king can, so they like, they'll play like rook here and take it. The king will like be walking towards it, and then they'll be like, oops, and let him take it. So that is something to think about. Even still, you should be able to mate with the king and queen.
Right.
All right, so we can start with anything. It just goes here, queen g5 check. White elects to push the king to the edge of the board rank by rank. He could have done the same thing file by file, like this. And what's nice about the... well, actually, no, this would be like what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because it's two... If it was two queens, you wouldn't have to worry here. You could play this. But it's not two queens, so the queen doesn't defend it.
That's right.
So then you'll take it.
Yeah.
So you can't just be so blind about it.
Yeah, and get all on autopilot.
Right. So he doesn't mention this, but if in case you're doing it this way and they come towards, well, you could still mate this way, even, or you can just move the guys all the way to the end and then keep doing it until he approaches this way, and then move them all the way back and then do it again.
Now, what's the doof doof music? Wang Hao could y'all hear?
Yeah. All right, but let's see how it does it. Check, king d4. If king e6, see, this is easier with the queen behind the rook. Then the king can never take anything.
Right, yeah.
So that's kind of easier to do. That's why I would say that, like, if you're playing a 1 minute game and you have 4 seconds left, this is the easiest thing to do. Like, there's not, then you can just pre-move all those. Although Karen would never pre-move.
I've done some pre-moves.
No, all right. I've seen it.
Not many.
Yeah, he even mentions, notice the rook is guarded by the queen. Yeah, we got him. And you probably know how this goes by now. Mate. Alright, so it's pretty easy with the queen. And with queen and rook, it's also pretty easy to, if you put the queen behind the rook, then you don't even have to think about anything. Except maybe stalemate, but
yeah,
just don't stalemate.
Now that's good to remember, queen behind the rook. Anybody say anything? Because once your queen was taken, oh, you remember that forever. Yeah, it was probably traumatic. Doof doof music is the music you hear when a car comes down the road with the... Oh. So I have heard doof doof music.
King and 2 rooks against king. Once again, the stronger side should push the opponent's king towards the edge of the board. Once it's there, it can't step backwards out of harm's way. This example is more difficult because, the king can approach the rooks and threaten them. Actually, it had the king here to make it a little tougher for us. See how we can't go like this and this. This takes all our rooks. So we're going to have to use a small amount of finesse that I mentioned earlier. Useful advice. Keeps your rooks as far away from the enemy king as possible. That way the king can't attack them.
That's right.
Pretty smart.
I'm Reptilia. I'm fine with that change of 10-minute from blitz to rapid because it lines up with what it would be by USCF rules. So I always thought it was a little strange, to be honest, that chess.com considered 10-minute to be blitz.
Yeah, and in fact, on Lee Chess, it's 8 minutes is the cutoff. I actually don't know which one 8 minutes is. 8 minutes might be rapid. So yeah, 10 minutes is way too slow for blitz. Come on.
Yeah, I just always thought that was strange.
The USCF, it's 10 minutes is like quick chess.
Right, and quick equals rapid.
Right.
So I think that the change, and I'm assuming FIDE rules must be somewhat similar to the way, or the classification. I don't know.
I don't know either.
But 10 minutes too slow for blitz.
So we'll play check. The plan is the same. You all know about it. King d3. Now the black king can't cross the e-file. since it's controlled by the rook. Also possible is king f3. Don't play rook f2, he says. Got to agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
So all you got to do is, this is what I was talking about, you move your rook as far away as possible.
That's what I do, is just go to the other end.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then after here, we'll move this rook as far away, but we want to make sure we keep that staircase going.
Right.
Don't want to put them both on the same
Mm-hmm.
rank, then it'll be tough to make a staircase. So we'll play rook e7 in this case. And here, it's faster to make him go this way than that way.
Right.
So we'll do like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then he can't even make us move our rooks again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, yeah, I have the right technique for that.
Definitely.
Because I've certainly lost rooks before, and that was traumatic. Hey, from Istanbul, says Anubis. How's it going?
You know, Istanbul was Constantinople.
Mm-hmm. Dum, bum, bum,
But I only know that because of the song.
bum.
And it might not even be true. As far as I know.
C.L. Smith says, finally a position I can win.
I'll believe it when I see it, C.L. Smith.
Oh, you think FIDE considers 10 minutes to be blitz? Well, that's
Bum,
interesting.
bum, bum.
KQL. I'll have to look that up because I don't trust anybody's information, but that's interesting
Right.
if true.
I don't even trust the song about Istanbul. So again, he goes here. We can't play rook d2, so we'll do the same thing. Rook g8.
Mm-hmm.
Here. And rook e7. So yeah, we got this rook here.
Yay.
And then we got the staircase all ready to be built. Got a little snack.
Mm-hmm.
A little sody.
Okay,
Sody
hang on.
pop.
Sorry about the noise for 1 second. I don't know why they do it that way. All right, sorry. I know it's noisy. Hang on. I swear. One more thing. There we go. Okay.
So king d3. Check. Check. So we can try to run up. So now you got to do a little bit more work because rook a7 is not quite mate. But you already know we're just going to bring it all the way back. Bring it around town. Probably he'll attack this so that we can't mate him again.
Mm-hmm.
Now here you can move this rook and then mate.
Yeah.
But I think it's faster to go here.
Oh, yeah, because he has to come
Yeah.
retreat.
Oh, I guess it's the same amount of moves, but it's faster like with a mouse. You go here and then you pre-move that.
That's true.
Mate.
All right.
Yeah. So that's a little trick you can do. Or you can do it like, I guess, the standard way. Like that.
Mm-hmm.
Rooks usually prefer to check at a distance. It's a little reminder.
That is a nice reminder.
Yeah. Who doesn't?
Keep your distance, COVID.
Right. Social distance rooks. All right, that's it for the staircase.
Yay.
Play around with it a bit more, and when it becomes mindlessly easy, move on to our next technique.
It's meaner, Neuro, to do it from a distance.
Yeah, well, imagine it's like war. You know, you wouldn't, like, want to walk up to the dude and shoot him. You'd just be far away. It's a lot safer.
Now, this is an interesting comment. Sirman says, 10 minutes is fair for blitz. My wife has an opinion if I take blitz into the bedroom. I'm not even going to ask what that means.
Right.
All right, so is that a whole chapter or that was just a section?
That was the first section.
Okay, yeah, I can't wait till we get to the box.
That's where we are.
Oh, yay.
The box.
Because I don't feel like I was ever properly
This is
trained.
Lane Staley's favorite.
Right. Right.
How's it going, Scottish Demon Goat?
Hey, Scottish Demon Goat.
This is a very important endgame idea, and chances to use it will occur remarkably often.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind the box isn't always the fastest way to mate, it's the easiest. In the case of both king and queen versus king, as well as king and rook versus king, the goal is to imprison the enemy king into the box. The point about using a king and queen to force mate is important, obviously, frankly. So a lone rook or a lone queen can't mate on their own, so you're going to have to get the king involved, is what he's saying. All right, so let's look at this one. Yeah, that's what the Black King's about to sing. And here.
You could sing that at karaoke.
Right, I could sing that.
Is Silman the guy Ben says we shouldn't listen to?
Yeah, that sounds about
He
right.
might have said that, but I think Ben thinks that the Endgame book is fine.
Right, I mean, Silman has a lot of books, and I'm not a huge fan of them generally, but I do think this is his best one.
Yeah, most people think the Endgame book is, solid for introducing people to beginning and intermediate endgame studies.
Yeah, in this diagram, the white cannot mate without the king. So he needs to march over to the queen side immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now this is where I need some technique, because I've stalemated before with this situation when I'm in a time bind.
Well, I'll tell you what I do is
Yeah.
I run my king all the way up,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't move my queen. Nobody should move your queen. Then I'll move my king into opposition. That's what I'm doing. I'm like
Okay.
aiming to go into opposition, where usually you don't do that, but with a queen it's so easy to mate that's a fine technique. Like, I don't know, let's say they're doing this, right? I don't know what they would do. Who cares, right? Then once I get there, I just go right into opposition.
Okay.
Now, if you're mating with a rook, you shouldn't do this. Mating with a rook, you should go here. But it's a queen, so he can go here, and now whichever way they go, you mate him. Easy. That's all you need to do. Oppose the kings. Queen is so easy to mate with, you don't have to use
yeah.
any sort of finesse. Yeah.
It seems like Anna Baumstark was saying, I use the knights method.
Like this.
Yeah, that's
And
what
then this.
she does.
Right, and then she'll move her king up.
Mm-hmm.
Right, a lot of people do that. That's a waste of time. You're just
Okay.
moving your queen a lot.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Right, like a lot of people, they'll do it like this. Like, let's say the king's here and the queen's here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they'll do it all the way, like, from here. I pressed the wrong button, obviously, frankly. Like this. Legal moves only. So they'll go like this, and then they'll go here, and then you'll move your king, they'll go here, and they'll go here. And then, like, 40 moves later, you've eventually made it the king, right?
Yeah. It is a lot of dancing around. Hey, Elcoing.
And then it's like, don't stalemate when he gets in the corner, then you stop.
Mm-hmm.
And then you bring your king up. Now, I've been teaching chess, for about 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, being paid to teach chess. And I would say at least 25% of my students, of my time teaching students, has been, like, beginners. Like, I've taught beginners privately. I've taught in, like, chess camps. And I've taught, after school stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I've taught a lot of king and queen against king mate.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never taught this method.
Yeah.
It just wastes a lot of time. People accidentally stalemate. You should just use 2 pieces instead of 1.
Right.
Right? I mean, this is a fine first move. Then get your king in there.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing? Your king's pretty good. I like to pin him down with the queen and then bring my king in to help.
That's what I do.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know if there was a particular reason that she prefers that.
It's easier to teach.
I think she said with kids, that's what she
Yeah.
likes.
But I play chess because I want to think about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't play chess because I want to play as stupid as possible, or I have no brain.
I think it might be fun though.
That's not how I do it.
For kids as a beginning technique, maybe, and then sort of as they get more used to how the pieces move, maybe they can. I can see where she would do it.
Everybody has their own opinion.
I don't need to do it that way, but
Let's look at another diagram. Here.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying it can actually be confusing to, like, for example, you know how it is when we've had the new kids here, and you try to teach them en passant, and they really can't quite get it. They can still go ahead and start playing some chess and just not be clear. You have to keep going over it, and eventually they'll get it. There's just some ideas that are confusing to somebody that's new to how the pieces are moving.
Okay. So in this diagram position, where he put X's on the board and I highlighted the X's.
I was wondering why that was red.
Yeah. White just moved his queen to E6. taking a whole group of squares away from the black king, the ones that are highlighted, as shown by the X's, yes. After king b5, it's illegal moves only, then it'll be, I hope he says this move, yes, king d4, king b4,
It's a noise.
and here comes the check. Nice, subscription.
Thank you, El Coing.
El Coing.
Thank
Nice.
you.
Little kitty cat. That's cool. Nice.
You lose like a champ or a chump or Naki.
And mate follows. Here, and then he says this mate, but I'd play this because I'm too cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that one is a little bit cooler.
Yeah, and this is exactly how I would, teach my students to mate from this position. Even Silman says so. You bring in both your guys, then you mate in 4 moves.
Mm-hmm.
If you did the queen method, you'd be going here, and then I don't even know what you would do after this. Resign?
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think it seems easier to bring in 2, but...
Oh, MJ Feingold subscribed.
Oh, yay. Thank you, MJ Feingold.
I hope you're learning a lot from this.
Aw, he says, excellent stream. Always fun and educational, says the master level player as we look at 400 level material.
Well, yeah.
Thank you, Mark. You're totally objective.
Let's look at this next diagram. All right, here we go. In this diagram, black's king is trapped on the A and B files. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
However, if white plays the move rook c3, good move. Traps him even more.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's only confined to these 4 squares. Like in the schoolyard, he's playing 4 square. That is a good move. And the king defends the rook. That is important to notice.
That is.
Remember, this is actually in the book. If you have a rook, make sure the enemy king can't capture it. That is good advice. I mean, honestly, I would say that for basically any piece you have. Yeah, rook c3 was good there.
He was obviously traumatized when he was a lower level player. But it does happen a lot, though, where people lose their rook.
I've lost my rook. And not really with king and rook against king, but... well, maybe I have. I don't know.
When you're a little kid, maybe.
So in this diagram, white has to use the king and queen to mate, frankly, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So let's first trap him in a box. Queen e3 is what he recommends. They'll put you in a box, alive, but just barely. Courtney Love. Black's king can't step over the invisible lines created by the queen. Well, they're visible because I put the arrows there. Queen e3 isn't the only way to win. One other way, among many, is like queen g4. Yeah, that's probably what I would do. Then bring a king up. Check. But I like queen e3 because then, you're giving your opponent the option. I like that. Mm-hmm. Pick your poison. Anyways, he gives some variations there, but I'm just going to ignore it. It's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I have to.
The king rushes up. Yes, this is the way to do it. Bring in your king. King b4, king d5. Yes, and this is a good moment because notice how he moved his queen once, and then every move after that was a king move. So many times when people are mating with a king and queen, they move their queen like more often than the king. That's not right. You should move your queen like 4 or 5 times, in the hardest position to mate with, like the one that we started on. And then your king much more often.
Yeah.
Like 4 times maximum for the queen. And the king much more frequently. It shouldn't be even close. Well, maybe a little close. The poor black king is running out of options. That is sad. There. Check. here, and this is what I was talking about. King c6. Just get into opposition.
Yeah.
You just got
Scottish-
something to read here?
Oh, I was just the Scottish Demon Goat was saying that he blundered his rook against a national master in a winning rook and pawn endgame, and it still hurts.
Dang. That is tough.
Hey, Arbra Kabrak 2.
Oh, nice.
How's it going?
This would be great for our bric-a-brac.
Yeah, because if I recall, you're 1,000-ish, maybe? Can't remember.
On a good day.
Yeah, we're starting, since you joined us late, we're going through the Silman Endgames book, which the material starts out really easy, but then it's going to get harder. So maybe some of this might be good for you. I'm not sure how your endgame is.
King and rook against king. So this is by far the most difficult thing we'll study in this section, he says. King and queen against king, just like in king and queen against king, white can only mate with the king's help, which stands to reason because the queen's more powerful than the rook.
Mm-hmm.
So if you needed your king's help with the queen, you definitely need it with the rook. We can still do that shrinking box. So this is the most basic winning situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Opposition and mate. Check
Right.
from the side.
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult to stalemate with a rook. It's possible, but the king has to be in the corner and your rook is, on g7 protected.
Okay.
That's the only way to stalemate. I think. Right? It's no other possible way. Oh, there is. I figured one out. The king's in the corner, you're in opposition there, and the rook is on the 7th rank.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but that's very unlikely. Oh, I guess maybe. Might happen.
Uh-huh.
So it's very unlikely, even if you're not paying attention, that you'll stalemate with the rook. Because, it's not as good as the queen. It can't cover as many squares. So a team effort has led to this mating attack. White's king is deprived of f7, or is depriving black of f7, g7, and h7. The rook calls check. Clearly, white needs to do two things to win the king and rook endgame. He needs to employ his king and rook, and he needs to drive the black king to the edge of the board, just like we've seen in all these examples so far.
Hey, Julian, how's it going?
Oh, nice. Julian can really learn from this.
Yeah, in case you joined us late, but we're going through the Silman Endgame book, so we're at the beginning, so the material's easy, but we're just going to bang through it and get to some more challenging
Much like
stuff.
Sunday morning. All right, so here we already saw he got mated there. That's the position we're aiming for.
Mm-hmm.
Here, this is like the phase before mate, right? The king is trapped on the back rank. That's right where we want him. And how great is this? Our rook is pinning him down.
Mm-hmm.
And in this situation, it's nice that you can just take your time, Like, I always say this. Like, if the guy's king's in the back row and you pinned him down, you don't really have to be anxious about your timing. Just don't hang the rook. Don't move the rook away from the 7th rank.
Right.
And you'll get there. So, we're going to move the king towards the black king. King d6.
Mm-hmm.
King e6 also good. It threatens mate, but obviously it's black's turn. And you have to use finesse to mate with the rook. You have to actually use zugzwang.
Mm-hmm.
You can't mate the king without zugzwang with a rook. It's impossible, I'm pretty sure. You have to actually make it so it's your opponent's move, and then they move into mate, and you mate them.
Right.
Let's look at king e8. He also mentions king c8. So again, just like when it was the two rooks, we move the rook as far away as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Because why not? And this is exactly where we are. King. Now if he goes here, we already saw that's the mate.
Right.
So he's going to have to run away. And then he'll keep on going, but we'll chase him. No reason to block our rook, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll go here, and then he'll try to go there. And we'll call the director. Then he'll go here. And mate. Nice.
Yay. I can usually do that too.
All right, that's the most standard technique.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say he goes here. What do you think about that? Go zugzwang.
I think what do you do? Do I go ahead and just move the king to oppose him? Well, then maybe I have to move the rook to the other end then.
Right, you could do it like that.
Yeah.
You can also just make a waiting move here. You could move the king, then make another waiting move. But that's what you need is a waiting move. Rook at
Right.
b7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just wait. Pause.
Oh, okay, yeah. I usually just move to the other end, but I guess it doesn't matter since he's still a few squares away.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the idea is that your king is, like, between his king and the rook.
Right.
So,
Okay.
he can't go attack your rook without walking into opposition. The only way white can win by force is to force the black king to step in front of white's. And then he actually showed king e6, king d8, and back and forth. Yeah, that happens a lot in kids' tournaments. Rook b7 gives away a move and sets up a situation where he's going to have to walk into opposition.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, I think we can all see where this is going. Mate.
Now, what are people saying? Go Zhuang. Oh, it's thundering. You can always troll your opponent and play king d5 for some nonsense.
That's all right. Yeah, like I said, it doesn't matter as long as you keep him pinned down and don't lose your rook. You're not really going to, you might not make progress, but you're not going to lose anything. So, yeah, you could always try to triangulate. That's an easy way to lose a tempo, too.
Mm-hmm.
Here, and if they go here, then you could do like this. Then you triangulate it.
Mm-hmm.
Triangle. Triangle of power. So here's some useful advice. White will usually mate his opponent by forcing the enemy king to self-destructively step in front of white's. Yeah, that's what we've been saying.
Hey, Pam says this is helpful.
Nice, Pam. You got it. In general, put as much distance between the rook and the opponent's king as possible. Yes. All right, now let's take another further step back. We already saw when he was already in mate, and we saw when he was already on the back rank. So let's start from the center. Come on. I said start from the center. Here. And then there. So this is like the toughest starting position. So if you could mate from here with the king and rook, you're all set. All right, so obviously there's a lot of stuff you could do. Like I'd play king g2 probably, personally. He goes for rook g3. He's like, we're already putting him in a box.
Mm-hmm.
We're already, the walls are closing in on him. Remember, let me repeat for the umpteenth time. And I hate when people say that. Umpteenth? What does that even mean?
That just means he doesn't know exactly how many.
Right. An important point, there are faster ways to force mate, but our goal is to employ a simple strategy. Right, that's what I was like. I would have played king g2, right, like he's saying. But you might as well put him in the box first and then bring your king up.
I agree with that. Now, hang on one second. I'm going to get a tissue.
All right.
And I'm going to move the light back.
Oh, we got to move that light.
It's dark outside.
That's true, and it was thunderstorming.
And so when it does that, now it's glaring in my face. I don't know if we even have any tissue.
Oh, yeah, we do. I was just blowing my nose.
All right.
I'm almost done with this. I'm almost done with this cold. But Sermon James, it's actually umpteenth, like UMP. All right, so king f4 attacking the rook. So let's not hang it. Got to use your king in this endgame. That's true. And then he just tightens the box. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Now this would let him out of the box, right? We don't want to do that. So let's go here.
King, yeah.
And rook e3. Slow and steady, he says. It does win the race, that's true. Although not really, but a race to see who will finish, last. You should be getting the feel for this method by now. Shrink in the box. Remember, white's not in a hurry. Just follow the prescribed process and the game will literally win itself. In general, you want to keep your rook as far away from the enemy king, but one of the exceptions is when you're trying to create that box, like we're seeing here.
Right. Where do you? I forgot where you live, behind Superman. So you're I guess in California or Oregon. I couldn't remember who said the other day they were in Oregon. Maybe it was you. But yeah, it looks terrible out there. It's not a new book, Kill at 820.
It's a pretty old one, actually.
Yeah, the Silman Endgame book has been around for a long time, and even people that don't like Silman think that this particular book is solid for getting a good baseline knowledge in game studies. Oh, that was one of your first test books? And I respect Julian's opinion because he's very high rated.
White's king takes away some squares. He's helping out with the box, huh?
He is helping out. Oh, President Trump's going to finally go out there?
Check. King c7. Now, if he goes back here, he's on the back row. So that's not great defense, right? You want to stay off the back row as much as possible.
Right, yeah. So he's going over that way.
Right. Now, like he was saying before, we want to make him go into opposition.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we go into opposition, then he goes out of opposition, then we'll just go back and forth till the cows come home.
Right.
So all you got to do is make another waiting move. He goes rook b2. I don't know why rook b2 instead of rook b1. Come on. But okay, rook b2. Any rook move backwards is fine. So now he's between a rock and a hard place.
Okay,
He's going to either go to the back rank, or he's going to go into opposition, which I think is the better defense probably.
You can put your yeah.
And then check.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Right. King d8, and then we'll go into opposition again. All right, so king e8. Let's say he plays king c8. Can you find mate in 2?
Let's see. Mate in 2.
Oh, that's true, Julian. Yes, you reduce the number of the distance, physical distance. If you play rook b5. I mean, there are only 6 mate in 2s, right? It's not that many. There's a lot of legal moves here. There's 20 legal moves, I guess. There's as many legal moves here as there is at the beginning of the game, the starting position of the game. How funny is that?
Mate in 2. Let's see if you.
Yeah, you could post moves in chat, Sir Min James. Until the chat yells at you, I wanted to solve it. But you can, like, not look at the chat, you know. Sir Min James, that is correct, but that's not what Julian would play. He has to do the least amount of effort.
I don't see the mate in 2. Let's see.
That's 6 out of 20, so you have more than a 1 in 4 chance.
Now I can't look at the chat.
Right, they are getting it.
Oh, I'm sure. I can get it as I'm slow. All right. So the king takes opposition. They can just go back, though.
Right, and that's not going to be mate in 1 after that.
Right.
So you got to force him into opposition, just like
Right.
we did previously.
Force him. I still don't see it in 2 moves.
Almost, Superman. You just gave the wrong, notation there, but almost. But I know what you meant. Well, you have to force the king to go to d8. So all you have to do is make a move where he has to play rook d8 next move. Or, I mean, king d8.
King
obviously.
d8. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but if I go king c6, then
he's not going to be in opposition.
Right.
So try a different option. You got to keep your king on d6 so he's in opposition.
Yeah. All right, well, let's say I just went rook a7.
Does he have to play king d8?
No.
Right. So move your rook to control b8.
Oh, just retreat like a rook, b5.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, duh.
Julian would play rook b6 because he doesn't want to move the rook very far. And now he has to go into opposition.
Well,
And
it
then
is it is less work to move your arm. Just a
Yeah,
little.
that's any of these 6 moves is mate in 2.
Yeah. Okay.
And by the way, this is the technique that a strong player uses, like at the beginning of when we had the guys here.
Mm-hmm.
A strong player will always do this idea of like making you go into opposition by moving the rook back like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll never do any of the moves that he suggested.
Oh, you just showed that example. I just got confused.
Yeah. Yeah, right. It's the same thing here. You go back to make
Yeah.
him go into opposition.
Mm-hmm.
And then back again to make him go into opposition. And that's how a strong player mates with the king and rook. All right, so let's say he plays king e8 instead.
I'm just looking to see if I see anything exciting. Okay. Plays king e8 instead.
All right, now what would we do?
Um.
What's a boy in love supposed to do? Oh, L'Amour. Yeah, I like Erasure. I don't care if it's the opposite music that I would like. I like Oh, L'Amour, and I like the other one. Always. And then that's it. So I guess I don't really like them. I feel like if you like only the most famous songs of a band, you don't really like them that much.
Which one you said? Erasure?
Yeah,
I can't stand them.
right.
You
No,
know,
I like their hits, though.
Ugh,
I like their 2 hits.
horrible.
I think you're not appreciating the guy singing.
Might be. If I'm recalling their music, which I've tried to not listen to a whole lot in my life, it had kind of
Right.
a dance beat to it. Maybe.
Oh, yeah, it's like stupid 80s music. Right?
Ah, god damn, I hate them. Anyway, I guess I would say, couldn't you just go rook a7?
Yeah, that's the best idea.
Mhm.
Keep the rook as far away as possible.
Yeah.
And now, again, we're using Zugzwang to make him move
Right.
into opposition. Or we can go on the hunt.
Oh, and I'll just chase him down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mate.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you use those 2 ideas where you're forcing him into opposition by moving your rook back, and you make a waiting move, both of those techniques are very useful for mating with the king and rook.
Okay.
Make a waiting move. You don't want to like walk into opposition, then he walks out, then you go back in, and he walks out again.
Yeah, because then you're just running around.
Yeah, then it's just like a kid's game. That's how they do it. All right, so now you know all the ideas for overkill endgames. If you have a ton of material more than your opponent, you should definitely be able to win now, no matter what.
Yay. Mhm.
Yeah, that's sort of. I guess that's the first chapter is done.
First chapter's done.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
well,
we don't have to
there's
do
still
it.
more of part 1, but we'll talk about stalemates next time.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wonder if we should forge ahead a little bit more because we have 30 minutes. I'm not going to play people for 30 minutes.
Why not?
I'm just not.
Oh, okay.
Probably more 20 minutes.
All right. Yeah, actually, this part is short, so we can do stalemate. Away.
Yeah. And would that get all the way to the end of the chapter?
I don't know. There's some like tests and solutions and summary.
And we may not need to do all that. I'm not
Right.
sure about it. Well, maybe we'll just finish this part like
All
you're
right.
saying, and then we can offline figure out whether we'll even bother with any of those tests.
Right. Right.
Things. It might be nice when they get harder to have
Mhm.
some extra practice or something, extra puzzles. What are people saying? Is there a legal amount of moves we can make in a game? Says Queen's Gambit 25.
I'm not 100% sure I understand the question, but I guess like, is there like a maximum limit of moves? Like, could the game go 1,000 moves?
Well, there's the rule, the 50 move rule, which does.
And threefold repetition.
Yeah.
Those rules make the game much more difficult to extend out into infinity.
Yeah, but I think those are the only 2 rules I can think of that would limit the total number of moves. What is the 50 move rule exactly? If you go, you have to capture something.
If one player makes 50 moves without pushing a pawn or capturing,
Yeah.
and if one player makes 50 moves and nobody captures anything or pushes a pawn,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, then you can claim a draw.
Yeah, so those type rules limit it, but 50 move and 3-fold are claimed. That's true.
Although, 75. So the TD can claim a 75 move rule. All right, I got you. I got what you're saying. Right. Yeah, like a tournament, if I'm watching, this happens like in Blitz too.
Yeah.
Like in Blitz, it'll be king and pawn against king. It's a draw. And they're just repeating over and over because the guy wants to win on time. And if I'm standing there and they repeat like 10 times, I can claim a draw.
That's right. That's another way that it can be limited is if the TD is like, let's get this over with here.
Right.
You're done. Yeah, that's
You're done
another
in this
way.
town.
Ben always says more than atoms in the visible universe.
That doesn't seem right, C.L. Smith. Why plus 14 also? I don't understand.
50 times the number of legal pawns.
Oh, it's not. Okay. So let's read this annoying thing he wrote. When I played in my first tournament at age 12, it suddenly occurred to me that I didn't know the difference between checkmate and stalemate. That is pretty funny. Later, I realized that.
How old was he?
12.
12, wow. He must have started later.
Yeah, maybe he just played, like, for fun, you know, or, like, in a school or something before tournaments. Anyway, stalemate, the black king is not in check, and there's no legal move on the board that would not result in the king's capture. Weird way to put it, but okay. Checkmate, the king is in check, and it can't move. Get out of check. So, for example, this position. Sometimes it lets me drag it, sometimes it doesn't. What a drag. Like this position, if it's black's turn, it's a draw. Don't tell Nigel Short, but yeah, the black's not allowed to move into check. Spoiler alert. Yeah, black's not allowed to move into check. Now, if it's white's turn, white just mates. And a lot of times kids are like, I'm in stalemate. I'm like, whose turn is it? White. Like, well, you're not in stalemate yet, buddy. It has to be your turn for you to be in stalemate. Yeah, if it's white's turn, white plays queen b1 or queen b2 or queen a3 or queen a4. Is what he says. If black has the move, then it's stalemate. Remember the difference between checkmate and stalemate. In the case of checkmate, the king is in check. Oh, that is the difference. He's right. And yeah, a lot of times people will say like, "Oh, my king can't move, so it's stalemate." You know, that's wrong. They're like a pawn is here, you know. Like, oh look, it's black to play. I'm in stalemate.
I've heard kids say that at tournaments.
When so I'm like, what's wrong with you? Like, let's say it's this position. White goes here. Now whose turn is it? Black, right? And can black's king move? Then they're like, no. Like, oh, it's stalemate. Yeah, I love mocking children.
What are you putting there, Julian?
That's the way to the fastest stalemate possible.
Oh. I
guess. I'm assuming.
Well, that's pretty cool.
I thought it was 12 moves, but that's only 10. But
that's interesting to know, though.
Yeah, if true. But so, yeah, you can have also a lot of pieces on the board in stalemate, like how Julian's showing. But here's the example the guy uses. Like this. He's got like even a bishop here just for posterity's sake. But it's pinned. You can give him a pawn, but then we'll block that pawn. Yeah. So in this position, assuming it's black to move, still got a lot of pieces on the board, but it's stalemate. You can't move the knight because that's pinned. The bishop's pinned. The pawn is stuck. And the king also is obviously, frankly, these are illegal moves. So, yeah, stalemate can occur when black has several pieces even. Yeah, and then he says all the stuff that I just said. Right. But he alters the position a bit. Oh. Well, anyways, he moved the pawn back, so it wasn't stalemate. And then if black moved, it would, he moved the pawn.
Hey, I didn't analyze our daily game. Maybe Spencer can do that in a minute. Heinz Superman. Yeah. When we're done with it, have a game. Maybe you could look at we had a correspondence game going on.
Mastering the overkill checkmates means you have to also become acutely aware of stalemates. He's right. He's right. You can't be stalemating. Yeah, so this is a good example because I see this a lot. Like this, here, and there. You got stuff to say?
I was
Oh,
smiling as Julian said, very interesting.
Indeed.
Kasparov crushing Naka. Now Naka winning. It's as close to them. What? To them both losing as I can hope for. Aw.
Right, maybe they'll get double forfeited somehow. Maybe like Kasparov will try to cheat again, which he did that against Naka even.
Julian said what he posted actually happened in a real game.
Oh,
So,
that's hard to believe. They probably, prearranged it. I'm almost 100% sure.
well, we're almost done, Kayla. I know some of it can be boring, but we're just trying to be comprehensive. We're going to go through the whole book, and it may, some of it.
Oh, poor Killa. He must be over 1,000 and didn't listen to us the whole time when we said that this is for beginners.
Yeah, but we're going to get to some more challenging materials, so just hang tight. And
and plus you can just, work on your listening skills.
or you can chat, in the about other stuff in the chat. Anyway, we're almost done, and then I want Spencer to real quick look at my game with Han Superman.
So a lot of times, like when it's kids playing, they'll make a move like this and then draw agreed. Well, not really, stalemate. So all you got to do is put your queen on the back rank, the 7th rank, and keep the king on the back rank. The easiest thing to do is to stop the king from going here at the same time, but not stalemate. Queen g7. Nice. Yeah, unlike queen f6, we're not controlling e8, so he can play king e8 or d8 even. And then we got a lot of mates to choose from. It's up to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, queen c7 is a good idea. I really like to pin that king down. But then it'll take more moves because we got to go chase him down. Or you can play here and force him here and then mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. But don't play queen f6 is what he says. I have to agree. So let's sum it up. In the endgame, the enemy king can rarely be mated in the middle of the board. You're going to always need to chase him to one of the 4 sides. Staircase maneuver is the easiest way to mate with a lot of material like 2 queens or queen and a rook and stuff. The box technique enables you to limit the enemy king's space. Shrink that box. If you're left with a king and queen or a king and rook against a king, you can't mate with just one major piece. You're going to need to use your king's help as well. And watch out for those stalemates. There's nothing worse than botching the easy win. That's true. He's right about that. All right, so we finished up the first section here. First part.
All right, cool.
For anybody under 1,000, that's all you need to know.
Yay.